Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Unpack That Bag, where I help you to carry what matters most. It's your host, Maya Danielle, and as always, I am so excited to be here. You guys, I don't know where you are in the US or if you're in the US. I don't know if I made it that far yet, but we're preparing for a snowstorm. So, like, by the time you see this, we may or may not have gotten snow. I live in North Carolina. As a North Carolina native, like, it's always so interesting whenever they're calling for snow, just because, first of all, we never really get snow like that. Second of all, I don't understand. I don't know. I just don't get it. When we do get snow, it's horrible because obviously, as a state, we're not prepared for it at all. So if we ever do get any, even if it's like 2 inches, like that's enough to put us out for a couple of days. They're calling for upwards of like 18, 20, 20 something inches. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. And it they're making it seem like it's a big thing. So I don't know. We're gonna see. Hopefully, like I said, by the time y'all see this, we'll see what's going on. I hope we don't get nothing at all. But that's just me. I don't like being stuck in the house and like by force. I like being in the house because I like being in the house. I don't like not having the option to go if I need to go. That's just me. Anyway, I digress. I am really excited for today's episode. This episode is actually inspired by just my recent conversations that I've been having. As I mentioned in the previous episode, I have started practicing as a therapist, and I think a lot of the conversations that I've had recently have been around the topic of acceptance. And so today's episode is acceptance versus control, and kind of letting go of some things without giving up. Because I think some of the misconceptions about acceptance is that I'm just giving up. Like, I've waved my white flag and this is it. This is the end. Which is not true. Like, it's not true. There's so much more to acceptance, and there's so much more to how we can look at acceptance. And it's something that I personally struggle with. And so I talked a little bit about that in my last video, which is again what kind of inspired this video, just because I really struggled last year with feeling stuck. Like, and I think that's somewhere that a lot of people are in. And I have an episode, I believe, already about just like getting unstuck. But feeling stuck, feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed because like there's a hurdle, there's a obstacle that you're facing. There's just something that, like, you feel like you should be putting your energy into to change. Like, there's something happening that you feel like you need to change. And a lot of times I think people get caught up in trying to change the thing, and instead of accepting, like, when there's just things that you cannot control. And me personally, being a control freak, I am a control freak. I like to, not having control stresses me the hell out. Like, I don't like being out of control of my surroundings. I don't like being out of control of my emotions. I don't like being out of control of anything. Honestly, like, anytime I feel like I don't have control over just anything around me, I listen, it ain't pretty. It's not pretty. It's not. Just because, like, I just feel out of control. Like, I feel like there's something I should be doing or I've tried to do and it's just not working. And like, that's scary. That's such a scary place to be in. And I talk so much about it with my clients. I've done a lot of work. I'll say that I've done a lot of work in the area of control and releasing control in a lot of areas, but it's something that I talk about a lot. And I think a lot of times we focus on more of what we cannot control than what we can control. And it's like a never ending cycle of disappointment, really. I like that's just the best way to put it. Like the more that you focus on the things that you cannot control instead of the things that you can, you're setting yourself up for disappointment time and time again. And you're going to continue to feel anxious. You're going to continue to feel overwhelmed and stressed and like stuck in life because you're continuing to push on a door that clearly says pull. And so, yes, you're stuck in that same room. Yes, you're stuck in that same situation or opportunity, or like you're still stuck in the same area of your life because you're continuing to push on the door that is saying pull. Like you're continuing to try to change something or control something that you don't have the power to do so. Like you don't even have the mechanisms to be able to open this door. Like you don't even have the keys to this door. Why are you still trying to open it instead of trying to figure out a different way out of it? Like accepting that this is not this door just might not be for me to open. And again, I think like I said, we just kind of we force ourselves into spaces or just things that are not for us. And yeah, so like let's talk a little bit about what acceptance is because I think there's also a few just um I don't want to say like misconceptions, but there are a few misconceptions as to what control is. So we'll look at the definition. The definition for control from Oxford is the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. So the action of consenting to receive or undertake something offered. Um, hello. You do have to consent. So a part of accepting something is saying, okay, I agree to this, right? I accept what is being offered to me. I accept what the situation is presenting to me. That is what acceptance is. Like I'm consenting to whatever this is. Like, and I think there's a difference as well. Like when the misconceptions about acceptance is that in me accepting this is me saying that I'm okay with it, or in me accepting this is me saying that this is something good. And that's not always true. Like sometimes we gotta consent to some things that we really don't like or we really don't even agree with. Like that just is what it is. That's what life is sometimes saying like, yeah, this is not ideal. This is not what I would want. But I have to accept that is what it is. I don't have any influence over this thing to change it. So I have to accept it. And I think I talked a little bit about this last week as well. There's a form of therapy called acceptance and commitment therapy. And I don't personally use this modality much in my practice. However, I do use it a bit just because I am really big on values and clarifying your values and living a values-based life. And this theory, this modality is a form of psychotherapy that emphasizes the act of living a values-based life. And so they use interventions such as acceptance and mindfulness strategies, along with commitment and behavior change strategies to kind of increase your psychological flexibility. So like a lot of the areas that we get stuck at, um, where it's like, okay, I can't move past this thing because I can't accept it. My mind can't wrap around, what this is. And so I can't really move past this thing. And this modality allows people to focus on what it is that, like, what are my values? And how can I use my values to help me to navigate through this situation that is hard for me to accept? A lot of times, like, the reason why we can't move past certain things is because it goes against our values. And so again, we focus more on what is out of our control instead of what is in our control, which we don't always have we don't always have that ability to do so. And so again, we find ourselves hitting these roadblocks. And so a part of us unpacking these bags is like releasing some of those things that we can't carry. Like I can't carry the weight of trying to have influence or control over something that does not, like, I just don't have. That just is what it is. Like, um, yeah, like I said, I think that once we shift the way that we think about acceptance and being that it's not approval, it's just honesty, like it's being honest with yourself. We lie to ourselves so much every day. People lie to themselves about just how much control they have, just how much influence they have, just how much power they have. And they lie to themselves, they lie to other people. They fall into this kind of cycle of just gaslighting, really, like where they know that they have a fear. They know that they kind of have this need to be perfect, this need for perfection and safety and security. And so being in control gives that sense of safety and security. It gives that sense of perfection. Like at least I can say that I tried. At least I can say that I didn't give up and I didn't just let this thing happen to me. I didn't just surrender. I didn't just, lay down and take it. Like it gives a very false sense of control to say that I'm doing all these things to change my outcome when that's not even, I don't even have any, like, I can't change this. I can't change this. And it's such a hard concept to grasp. I get it. But it is one that I really feel like everyone should try. Like, everybody should be really intentional and mindful of what areas of my life am I trying to control things in that I have no control over? None. And so like there are three circles of this kind of like of control. When you look at the circle of control framework, there's three circles. So you have control, you have influence, and you have concern. So control is like I have control over my choices, I have control over my actions, what boundaries I may set, the effort that I may put into certain things, my words, how I may say certain things. So like that's something I have control over. I may have control over my influence. Well, influence is, I'm sorry. Influence is different. So influence is like the requests that you make, conversations, modeling, encouragement. And so I may like, I'm trying to think of an example. So like I may with my clients sometimes, be more relaxed. Like I sometimes I come in and I look pretty good if I just say so myself. And then sometimes I look more comfortable. Like I like to model what it looks like to be authentic. I like to model what it looks like to not always have it together. And sometimes people feel like, again, with that perfectionism and that sense of control, that like I need to always show up on 100. I need to always show up as this perfect put together version of myself. And the reality of it is that we all have bad days. And I model very clearly with my clients that I am a human, just as you are. And so that power differential between my role as a therapist and their role as a client, I try to keep that as it can't be even. I think that it just is what it is, that it can't be even. But I do try to keep it as even as possible in modeling the behaviors that I want to instill with them. And so boundaries, like setting boundaries with clients, it looks like, okay, hey, I'm always there for you. So if you ever need anything, you call, you text. However, I'm also a human. So I may not be able to pick up the phone right then and there. I may not always be accessible. However, I do want it to model what it looks like to set healthy boundaries. Okay. And so I think it's really important to to know the difference between control and influence. Because so I may have control again over what I say, what I do, what I model, but maybe I don't have control over like the influence that that has on someone. But influence again, it can look like those things. It can look like again the modeling, the conversations, the encouragement. That can be influence, and then there's concern. A lot of times the concern when it comes to control is like, okay, what are other people's reactions, the timing, the outcomes, the past? Like those are kind of some of the things that like people who kind of lend into control are searching for, or they kind of like look for, like, okay, how's this person reacting to this thing that I said, or when is this thing going to happen? Like I put in all this work, I said all these things, I want this type of influence, I'm trying to control this, when is it going to happen? It ain't happened yet, or this outcome is not exactly how I expected. Like those are concerns that kind of arise when we look at control. And so there are some signs, okay, that you are living in this concern circle, right? Maybe not in the control, not in the circle of like, okay, this is what's in my control. Maybe not even in influence, but like I'm living in this concern. So like I'm ruminating on certain things. I have a little bit of resentment because shit didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go. I thought it was gonna be like this and it didn't, or I thought it was gonna react like this and they didn't. So now I'm resenting them. I'm resenting myself for putting in all this work. I'm over explaining myself. So like I'm trying to people please and see if how I can get to you to understand my point of view. Like I'm going above and beyond to make you understand something that I don't have no control over making you understand. And so one of the things that I've talked about this week with my clients has been, I've used the example of me personally, it don't matter who teach it, how they teach it, when they teach it, none of that. I probably will never understand physics. I don't care if Ben Nye came and sat on my couch. He don't I don't even think he teach physics. I don't care if Ben Nye, Hank Green, I don't know, I don't care who came and sat down on my couch and tried to teach me. I'm probably never gonna learn physics. It's not something I will probably ever understand. I'm just not gonna get that. And I'm okay with that. I've accepted that. It can be really frustrating to a teacher. It can be really frustrating to someone who clearly understands something, to try to teach someone else or try to educate someone else on something and they just don't get it. Like they just can't understand. But there's a level of acceptance in it. Like you have to accept as teachers, as therapists, as parents, as friends, as lovers, as partners. It is so important to understand that the influence that you can have on someone, you can only do so much. Like there's only so much that you can do to make someone understand something or to change an outcome of something. And you have to just leave it at that. You have to just leave it at that. You have to tell yourself, like, I can't control the outcome. I can control the work that I put in. I can control me showing up for myself in my values-based living. Like me showing up and making decisions that are clear on the things that I value, that are aligned with the things that I value. Like that's what I can control. But the outcome of this, I don't have no control over that. I don't. Um, I really think that when you begin to accept some things as they are, clarity, clarity. I mean, like your brain just opens up. There's so much clarity that comes from acceptance. And again, I think that as hard as it is to accept, as hard as it is to understand why certain things are happening, to understand why people won't respond to the actions that you've done, or people won't acknowledge you in certain ways, or opportunities that you try so hard for, put so much hard work into, are not showing up. They're not happening the way that you would have expected. Like, as disappointing as those things are, when you move through those things with acceptance, you move through those things with the understanding that I've done all that I can do. I've put in all the work that I can in what I value. Like, I didn't compromise my values. I didn't compromise myself, overextend my boundaries that I've had with myself. I can rest. I can take a deep breath. I can come to the acceptance of the truth that maybe I just don't have any control over this. Maybe I just don't have any influence over what is happening. And so I think that as hard as it can be to accept things that you just don't want to accept, you gotta do it. It's 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 just necessary. It's necessary. It's a necessary evil. And I think, as me personally, just the way that I have kind of navigated through what acceptance looks like for me, especially in this season of my life where I am a go with the flow baby. I am a go with the flow baby this year. Like, I have no energy in me to continue controlling things or trying to control things that I don't have any control over. I have really opened myself up to the idea that as long as I continue to show up every single day, check in with myself every single day, and really make sure that my actions are in alignment with my values. And we're gonna talk about values, so stay tuned for our episode on values. But as long as I am operating daily in alignment with my values, everything else will fall into line. Everything else will fall into place. Like, if this opportunity is not happening, if this thing is not happening, if this person is not understanding me the way that I want to be understood, let me reassess what the truth is, the honest truth, what is being presented to me, what the facts are. Like, let me reassess this through the lens of what I have control over. And so my favorite intervention with my clients is, because listen, I hear it day in and day out, and as somebody who does this herself, I even have to tell myself sometimes, I might get a pen and paper right now, draw out a T, what is in my control, what is outside of my control, and write it down. So this situation that is ailing me, that's bothering me, that it feels like is just too much to handle, let me write down on this side, what in this situation do I have control over? What can I say? What can I do? What can I change? What all is within my control in this situation? And what is out of my control? Is it the outcome? Is it how people respond? Is it what the reaction to my behavior? I don't got control over none of that. And so now, once I've laid everything out, I can really focus. I can really take a look at everything that's within my control, and I can focus on doing those things. Okay. Maybe this opportunity just doesn't get to pan out. And I can stop wasting my energy trying to make it happen. And if it ain't gonna never happen, like, I can start I can start going ahead and grieving what I thought was gonna happen, or what I thought I wanted. Even if I ain't gonna say thought, because sometimes you really do want what you want. But sometimes you also have to grieve the idea that that won't happen. And if it does happen, it's outside of your control. So there ain't nothing that you can do to make it happen. And that's hard. It's a whole separate thing in and of itself. I think there is a lot of grief that comes with acceptance. However, you have to have a level of understanding that grief comes with it. Like you have to have a level of understanding. Sometimes releasing control also means releasing hope for that thing. Um, and again, like that's it's difficult. It is difficult. Um, but also I think it brings a lot of clarity, and it allows you to unstick yourself. Like it allows you to unstick yourself from this bubble of I can't get out of this room. Like I can't move forward because I'm still focusing my energy towards controlling something that I have no control over. I'm still pushing at this door that will never open by me pushing on it. Like I that's how you stay stuck. And acceptance and releasing that control is saying that I don't have to be stuck here. I don't have to be stuck on this one thing. I can focus my energy and my direction and my efforts to something else. And that takes like it takes some strength, it takes some control, it takes some mindfulness, it takes some intentionality, it takes really, I'm gonna say love too. Like we ain't getting away from that topic, but it takes some love. It takes some self-love and boundaries that you have to have with yourself and others to really release the control of having everything put together, having everything happen the way that you would expect or want for it to happen. That takes some work. But I do encourage everyone to try to practice that intentionality because it's so worth it. It is so worth it. And you know, it's really freeing. I think I'm gonna always recommend therapy. So if you have not um given a thought to therapy, definitely give one. Especially if you see that this is the area of control or the area of accepting certain things in your life or situations is hard for you. It's really helpful to have someone there to talk to, and they can kind of guide you through what accepting certain things looks like. Somebody that can kind of guide you through those blind spots or areas where it's like you, because sometimes we try to control things without even realizing that we're trying to control them. And so I think that again, just having somebody there to guide you and kind of sit with you in that is really helpful. I'm gonna always recommend therapy for just every damn thing because it don't really matter what it is. Everything. But yeah, that's my rant. I'm not gonna hold y'all too much longer. I really do appreciate y'all for watching or listening or whatever you're doing. As I get back into this, I bear with me. I'm really excited, and I feel like again I'm trying to be so very intentional about aligning this podcast with me and whatever that looks like. So join along for the ride. We're gonna unpack some shit. We're gonna unpack it. And yeah. So I hope you all are staying warm, staying healthy, staying safe, staying loving, staying free, staying aligned, and staying alive. Love y'all dearly. Have a great week, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.